Yo, what's going on, y'all? DFJ Hoops here, back again with another live stream. Oh my goodness. NBA season is finally over, and as Sixer fans, I can finally get to talk about this topic. I didn't want to talk about it as the finals was going on, but the finals is over, so I think this is the perfect time for me to talk about this. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Let me go through a few of these comments right here. Salute to my guy Humble in the building. Appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you. Appreciate the love and support. Yeah, we was all on TuneIn Sports live stream, but yeah, salute to TuneIn Sports too. He says smoking on that smoking on that Sixers pack. Okay. I mean, yeah, we was garbage, but we gonna see next year. Next year gonna be a different story, bro. Salute to my guy, One Mike in the building. Appreciate you. Appreciate you, bro. Says salute. Salute to Rap Guy Reloaded too. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Appreciate y'all for coming through. Big fan Breezy in the building. The draft is 2 days away. It's on Wednesday, and we will finally know who the Sixers select. But I'm gonna talk about the draft tomorrow, right? Today, I got to get this topic out the way. But tomorrow, I'm gonna definitely focus. I'm gonna focus on the draft because the draft is on Wednesday. So, but appreciate y'all for tuning in. Yeah, I should definitely go check out Big Fan Breezy. Brooklyn Nets fan, Brooklyn Nets content creator, absolutely knows what he talks about. Funny personalities too. So salute to him. But first of all, before I get into my topic, congratulations to the OKC Thunder for winning the championship. I doubted SGA, I doubted the Thunder a few seasons ago, but they finally got it done. They got it done. It took them 7 games, but it don't matter. They still got it done. And all prayers up for Tyrese Halliburton because you don't want to see a player go down with the injury like that. And I don't know why, but it seemed like every playoff round somebody went down with an Achilles injury. Right? We saw that in the first round with Damian Lillard, and then in the second round with Jason Tatum, and now in the finals, Tyrese goes down with an Achilles injury. So, wishing him a speedy recovery. You never want to see a player go down like that, but I still believe if he had played, the Thunder would have still won. That's my belief, but we will never know. So, but huge, congratulations to them again. They absolutely deserved it. They were, oh, my bad. They was the best team for the majority of the regular season, 68, 67 wins, and they win the championship. So, congratulations to them. Congratulations to them. And one last thing before I get into my topic, for the draft, I'm gonna just save it for tomorrow. But without further ado, let me just get into my topic right here. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Once again, salute to Phil, still won. Man, I doubt it. So you're talking about Tyrese Halliburton? I mean, I say that's my belief, but I mean, we will never know. But still speedy recovery for him. But let me get into my topic right here. So, Quentin Grimes, Guerschon Yabusele, 2 players for the Sixers last season that were, I mean, I believe in their roles that they played in, the roles that they respectively played. They gave the Sixers, some fairly good production, right, in their own rights. Now, yeah, the production was not enough because the Sixers were a terrible team because you didn't have your best players out there to supplement what they were producing, right? So, but I felt like, Guerschon, coming in and doing what he did, and then you had Quentin Grimes, coming from the Dallas Mavericks, getting on the Sixers and doing what he did. I felt like they both played their roles to the best of their abilities, right? We saw Guerschon, literally come from overseas. I think he was playing for a team in was it Real Madrid? I mean, I'm not so sure, but he was playing overseas, and unfortunately, fortunately for him, he was out the NBA for about 5-6 years. He finally gets an opportunity. The Sixers gave him an opportunity after a dunk on LeBron. Now, I don't know why, but it seems like players, they get the notoriety after a significant play on LeBron James. I don't know why that is. I remember a few years ago, it was a Christmas Day game between the Brooklyn Nets and the Lakers. Kevin Durant didn't play in that game. He was on the Nets at the time. And Nick Claxton had a huge dunk on LeBron James. And I think that play right there kind of gave that was like the coming out party for Nick Claxton, and that's how people got to know Nick Claxton. I mean, me personally, I didn't know who he was until that dunk. I was like, whoa, that was impressive, right? So Guerschon Yabusele had the same play on LeBron, a huge dunk. It gets him into the NBA, gets him on the Sixers on a veteran minimum contract. And he got on the team and he did, what he did, right? For the role that he was supposed to be in, right? A bench player, but sometimes he did start games. And when he started, I felt like he played to the best of his abilities. Now, looking at his stats, I mean, his stats don't jump out the screen because he was a role player. I mean, nobody expected him to come in and average like 17, 18, or 19 points per game. I mean, for the contract that he signed and for the role that he was playing in, the production that he gave you, I mean, he averaged double figures. Looking at his production right here, 11 points per game, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, shot 50% from the field, 38% from the three-point line, and 72% from the free throw line. So, I mean, as a role player, I felt like he played his role to the best. I mean, he did the best he could, right? Especially when you don't have your best players out there. I mean, what more could you expect from a player on a veteran minimum contract, right? So he did the best that he could. And offensively, I felt like he scored whenever he had the opportunity to, from the 3-point line. Every time he was, wide open, I felt like he made the other team pay for it, right? I mean, he shot 38% from the three. So he was fairly efficient from the 3-point line, relatively on lower volume. But I mean, people didn't really expect him to be that good of a shooter, right? Even Sixer fans didn't expect him to be that good of a shooter. But offensively, he was a good screen setter, right? He could set screens, he could roll, he could finish strong around the basket. I mean, we all saw that huge dunk on LeBron James, right? He can finish strong at the basket. He can set some, solid screens. You can't really move him out the way, right? But defensively, as an undersized big, that's where his problems were. That's where his issues were because going up against some of these best centers, going up against a Domantas Sabonis, going up against a Şengün. Şengün made the All-Star team. And then going up against some of these centers, he did have trouble keeping them off the glass, right? The Sixers had a lot of issues rebounding. And most of the issues they had rebounding was because they were playing Guerschon out of position. They were playing him as a small ball center. And when you're going up against Domantas Sabonis, one of the best rebounders in the game, and when you're going up against Alperen Şengün and some of the other centers in the league that I'm currently forgetting, you're not gonna get the best out of him because he's undersized, right? And then defensively, on the perimeter, he gets torched, right? Because he's not as quick as some of these guards. He can't keep up with some of these guards on the perimeter. And then, excuse me. Yeah, he can't keep up with some of these guards. So sometimes, when you have him in the game, you got to play him and drop coverage. And we all know drop coverage in this current NBA, that's probably the worst defensive strategy right now because the players in the NBA today are very, very good. If you give them an inch, they'll take a mile. They would make you pay from that deep drop position. And I think that's one of the issues that the Sixers had because Guerschon had to play out of position, right? That's not playing him at the 5 is not best for him. But I felt like defensively, the best role that he had was to be in the weak side corner, right? Where he can tag rollers or tag cutters. Like that was his best. That was something he could do best. But using him as a point of attack defender, nah. Making him guard in the post against some of these bigger players, you're not gonna get the best out of him, right? But I felt like defensively, if you put him in the right, if you put him in the right situation, you know what I'm saying, he can absolutely give you some value, but not very much because he's not really doing much defensively. But as a rebounder, I mean, I felt like he was a solid rebounder, not a great rebounder. I mean, he's only 6'7", 6'8", so he's not really going to get a ton of rebounds, especially going up against some of these bigger players. So that's not something that I really expected from him. But offensively, like I said, he really impressed me a lot offensively. Let me look at a few of these comments right here. Humble says, welcome, man. Yeah. Salute to y'all for tuning in. Salute. Here for DFJ. Phone. Wow, something going on with my mic? Yeah, if something's going on with my mic, just let me know. But yeah, Guerschon did, he did his job to the best of his abilities. And then let me go to the other player. Quentin Grimes. Now, when Grimes got on the team, me personally, I wasn't really I wasn't really high on that trade because for number one, I really like Caleb. For a player as a person, I really liked everything about him. But he was a role player, and I felt like Sixer fans were expecting a little bit too much from a Caleb Martin, which was not his game. He's a role player. You can't expect him to be a creator from the perimeter constantly. You can't expect them to give you 20 points a night constantly. That's not his job. He's a role player, right? But because our best players were not playing, because our best players were not on the floor night in and night out, Caleb was forced into a role where he had to, score constantly. And when we were not getting that production from him, Sixer fans felt like, he didn't deserve the contract that he got. So, but I mean, I understood why the Sixers traded Caleb Martin because, the injuries did catch up to him. And, he also didn't get on the floor as much because of the injuries, right? He started, getting hurt and he was in and out the lineup. So when they traded him and brought in Quentin Grimes, first of all, I wasn't really sold on the move. But once Grimes got on the team, I mean, he started playing very, very well. And he started showing me flashes that I didn't even know he was capable of doing because first of all, when he was on the Knicks, I felt like he was a hustle guy, like a Josh Hart type player, like somebody who hustles, gets rebounds, plays defense, like a 3-and-D guy, right? But when he got on the team, he was giving the Sixers some production that Sixer fans weren't really. We wasn't really ready for it, right? Because we didn't know he was capable of doing that, right? But when he got on the team, he started, being he started giving you a lot of scoring, right? He had a stretch where I think he went like 8 or 9 games where he was scoring 25 points or more, right? He went on a he went on a scoring streak, right? And people were kind of comparing it to the insanity, but he was doing his thing offensively and defensively. We didn't really see a lot from him defensively, but offensively he was showing us a lot, from a shot creation point of view, from a scoring point of view. He was getting to the basket. He was getting into the mid range, and he was showing flashes of a very, very good guard who could be very, very complimentary to Tyrese Maxey, right? At 6'4", 6'5". I think he's 6'4", right? He's listed as 6'4". With the handle that he was showing you, the level of productivity that he was giving you, and also his level of shot creation, Sixer fans really felt like if he was on the team with Tyrese Maxey, this team would be very, very good. But unfortunately, Tyrese didn't really play a lot of games because he was dealing with injuries himself. And then Paul George dealt with injuries the whole season, so we didn't really see it. So these are the two players who the Sixers have to make a decision on who they want to keep this offseason, right? Now, fortunately for the Sixers, Quentin Grimes is a restricted free agent, meaning that the Sixers can decide to bring him back. But the only time or the only instance where the Sixers do not bring him back is if he signs an offer sheet with the team and the Sixers feel like that's a very, very big deal and we cannot match it. That's when the Sixers can let him walk. But other than that reason, the Sixers have every chance to bring him back for next year. But for Yabusele, that is not the case because Yabu, for number one, is he's an unrestricted free agent, meaning he can go sign with any team in the offseason, and any team that's willing to pay him any amount of money can pay him any amount of money, right? Now, one reason why I feel like the Sixers can bring back Quentin Grimes is because number one, they have his bird rights, right? They have his bird rights, so they can pay him more than any other team can pay him, right? That's number one. They have his bird rights. And number two, Quentin Grimes, they made every move possible to make it possible for them to sign Quentin Grimes in the offseason. So that's another reason why I feel like the Sixers have a good chance bringing him back. And Quentin Grimes also, at the exit interviews, he did talk to the media and expressed his like for the city of Philly and reasons why he would definitely want to return to the Sixers because he felt like he had some unfinished business with the team. So that's another reason why I feel like Quentin Grimes the Sixers would sign Quentin Grimes. Now, somebody would ask, but why not sign these two players? Why not bring these two players back? Because these two players play for the team in their roles. They did what was best for the team. So why not bring them back for next year? And that's a good question. But the reason why the Sixers cannot, I mean, the Sixers can, right? If they could, they would. But the thing is that if you bring back these two players, guess what? You you will definitely be at risk of going over the second apron, right? The Sixers will go over the second apron if they try to bring these two players back. So that's why the Sixers is going to be likely losing one player and they can only bring one player back. Now, the only reason, or the only way, let me say, the only way the Sixers can bring back these two players is if they clear space on the salary cap. Now, let me share my screen and show y'all why the Sixers cannot bring back these two players. So let me share my screen right here. Got it. So, yeah, let me get this off the screen. Right. So now look at this right here. Now I want y'all to take a look at the first three players. Now you got Joel Embiid, you got Paul George, and you got Tyrese Maxey. Now you got these three guys making max money. So that right there puts you in a very, very tough spot, right? Because you got three guys making max money. You got Joel Embiid. Embiid is going to make $55 million next year, and then you got Paul George making 51, right? And then Maxey, Maxey's on he's on a max contract, but his contract is very, very, it's favorable. It's team favorable, right? But Paul George and Joel Embiid, like these two guys, just by themselves are making almost half of the salary for next year, right? So you got these two guys right there, right? And then you got Maxey making 37, and then Kelly Oubre, who has expressed, he's shown that he said he might return to the team. We don't know for a fact. He might change his mind and, chase more money in the offseason. Who knows? But if Kelly Oubre, if he opts into his contract and then you get Andre Drummond also opting into his contract, guess what? The Sixers will be close to exceeding the second apron, right? And the second apron is something you don't want to exceed because once you go over the second apron, there's a lot of restrictions, there's a lot of consequences to going over the second apron. I think you can't sign players out the buyout market. You lose the MLE, which is the mid-level exception. There's a lot of consequences for going over the second apron. That's why it is very, very likely for the Sixers to sign one and let one walk in the offseason. Now, from what I'm saying so far, it's very likely that the Sixers will sign Quentin Grimes, right? Let me see these comments right here. And France still took a loss. Yeah, they took a loss because they're going up against the best team. Grimes should have the offense ran through him. That's a good that's good. But if you have Paul George, if you have Maxey, and if you have Joel Embiid on the team, you're not going to get the offense ran through you because these guys, like I just showed you, these guys are making like huge amounts of money. So it would be best for you to utilize Paul George, utilize Maxey, and utilize Joel Embiid more because they're making the most amount of money. So you get the most out of them because you're paying them the most. And for a Quentin Grimes, you might use him in the offense. I'm not saying you can't use him in the offense. You might use him, but you're not going to use him to the same level as Joel Embiid or Maxey or Paul George. And that's just the reality of it because they're making a shit ton of money. But yeah, as I was saying, it's more likely that the Sixers bring back Quentin Grimes. And, for Quentin Grimes, at the two guard position, I believe he will be very, very, his game definitely complements Maxey's game, right? Because they're both going to be in the backcourt. It's not going to be a midget backcourt because he's 6'4", 6'5", and he can guard some of these best, guards on the other team. Like the best guards from next year, like there's going to be a lot of bigger guards, and these bigger guards, you're going to have to counter them with bigger guards on your team defensively. And like I said from my previous streams, Maxey cannot take that. He can't take that assignment. Jeremy Kane can't take that assignment, but I think Quentin Grimes could definitely, he's not going to lock them up, but he's definitely going to make them work for their buckets, right? And as a defender, I believe Quentin Grimes can absolutely do it because for number one, when he was playing for these other teams, that was his role, right? He was a 3-and-D guy, right? But he got on the Sixers, he got a lot of touches, got a lot of shots, and he proved what he could do offensively. But for a team that has all their best players, if they're going to have all their best players, it would be best for Quentin Grimes to be in that role and not let him be your primary creator every single time. Even though he has the ability to do it, right? He's shown you that he has the ability to do it, but ideally, you don't want him being the primary creator every time because you got Maxey on the floor, and Maxey is much more of a threat than a Quentin Grimes. But I mean, having Quentin Grimes on your team, it gives you multiple options as well because guess what? You can put him in certain actions with Joel Embiid. You can run multiple handoff actions with him while Joel Embiid is on the floor. You can put him in secondary roles with Paul George as well, right? So having a Quentin Grimes on your team gives you a lot of options offensively. And then defensively, if you put him at the point of attack position to guard some of these better, the Donovan Mitchells, the Darius Garlands, the Tyrese Halliburtons, the Jalen Brunsons, these players, that's going to be his assignment, right? Because Maxey can't take that assignment. So it's best for Quentin Grimes to be in that role, right? So me personally, I believe that Quentin Grimes should be the player who the Sixers should prioritize in this offseason and not Guerschon. Now, I'm not trying to shit on Guerschon. I mean, Yabu is a very, very good player, a very, very good role player. He's a very good, you can use him in some screening actions. You can use him to set off-ball screens. You can use him as a pick-and-pop option. But for the predicament that the Sixers are in right now, I don't think Yabu comes back, right? And the reason why I don't think he comes back is because he made a huge sacrifice coming to the NBA, right? He made a huge sacrifice coming over because I believe he bought out his own contract to give himself a second chance in the NBA. So for him to have the season that he had, right, 11 points, 5 or 6 rebounds, and 2 assists, 50% from the field, 40% from was it 40%, 37%? Yeah, 50% from the field, 38% from the three-point line. So 38% from a big man, that's very, very good, right? That's way above the average, right? It's way above average. So for him to have the season that he had, in order for him to return to the 76ers next year, he would have to take a significant pay cut to come back, right? So the only way he comes back is if he sits down and say, the Sixers gave me another chance in the NBA. So in order to repay them, guess what? I'm going to take a pay cut and return to the Sixers. That's the only way he comes back, right? That's the only way he comes back because the Sixers are not going to risk going over the second apron to bring back a Guerschon Yabusele. They're not going to do that. So that's the only that's the only way they bring him back. Or if they can trade Andre Drummond and or Kelly Oubre to free up some space, guess what? They can sign Guerschon Yabusele to the mid-level exception and bring him back. But would you risk trading Kelly Oubre? Because Kelly has been on your team. Kelly has been one of the backbones of this team. He's the heart and soul, similar to Josh Hart's role in New York, in Philly. That is Kelly Oubre. That's the guy who, gets it out the mud. That's the guy who gives you effort. That's the guy who plays every single time. If he's not injured, he gives it 100% every single time on both sides of the floor. So would you trade him to make up space to bring Guerschon Yabusele back? I don't think you do that. Right? I don't think you do that. Because number one, you want to build chemistry and continuity with your guys. So you want Joel Embiid and Maxey to play with players that they're very, very used to. So in my personal opinion, I don't think the Sixers bring back Guerschon Yabusele. I believe he's going to walk. And if you're put yourself in Yabu's shoes, right? Put yourself in his shoes. Let me put myself in his shoes. I took a pay cut to come to the NBA. So if I have a chance to sign for a bigger contract, guess what? I'm going for that big contract. I mean, the 76ers gave me an opportunity. I appreciate it. But guess what? I got to make up for the money that I lost. So if Atlanta is going to give me a contract for upwards of 5 or 6 million, guess what? I'm taking it. If the Utah Jazz are going to give me a bigger contract, guess what? I'm taking it. If the Cleveland Cavaliers, right? Because Cleveland could possibly sign a Guerschon Yabusele, who knows? If the Cleveland Cavaliers are going to offer me a contract bigger than what the Sixers can offer me, guess what? I'm taking it. So that's the reasons why I believe Guerschon is not going to come back to the Sixers. And I mean, the Sixers, they pretty much know it. I think Daryl Morey also knows it, right? Even though he did try to, bring back Yabu, he tried to create space because getting off the Caleb Martin's contract, I mean, there were reports that came out that said that they're positioning themselves for a Guerschon Yabusele extension in the offseason. So they did say that, right? They did say that. But is it going to happen? Is it going to be, is it a realistic thing? No, because again, you don't want to go over the second apron, right? You don't want to go over the second apron to bring back a player who is pretty much a role player, But if they're able to get off Paul George's contract, they're able to get off a few contracts on the team, then guess what? They might be able to bring back Guerschon Yabusele, right? That's the only reason they bring him. That's the only way they can bring him back. Smash that like button as y'all come on in. Smash that like button. We're talking Quentin Grimes versus Guerschon Yabusele. TuneIn Sports says, what about VJ? If VJ comes, does Quentin Grimes go? Now that's also a very interesting point. That's very, very interesting because if you draft VJ, that means that you're gonna have to, is VJ going to come off the bench or is Grimes going to come off the bench, right? I think if you draft VJ, that means that your guard depth is pretty much set because you got Maxey, you got Grimes, you got McCain, who's going to come off injury. And I think McCain is going to have a very, very impressive second sophomore season, right? And then you got VJ Edgecombe and Quentin Grimes. So that's going to be very, very interesting depending on who the Sixers decide to start. Now, they might want to start Quentin Grimes because of what he did last season. But then again, maybe VJ could really impress Nick Nurse. I mean, Nick Nurse doesn't play young players. So, yeah, VJ is definitely going to come off the bench. So, even if they draft VJ Edgecombe, I think Quentin Grimes is gonna start. Now, whether VJ is going to get enough playing time, who knows? But, yeah, I think no matter what the situation is, I think Quentin Grimes returns to the Sixers next season. He says we don't want that. I mean, trust me, he's not. Guerschon is not a bum, right? Guerschon, he's a role player, right? And for the Cavs saying that they need complementary pieces to come off the bench. I mean, Guerschon could be a piece that could be very, very useful off the bench because, like I said, offensively, he can give you, almost everything that you can expect from a big man. Setting screens, stopping pops. Using him as a pick and pop option, right? Sticking him in the corner for catch and shoot opportunities. Like he can do all of that, right? His only problems is his defense is just not up to par because he's not able to keep up with some of these guys on the perimeter. That's his only problem. But offensively, he can do almost everything, right? He can do almost everything. And he can get up with some of the best of them as he dunked on your favorite player in the Olympics. So I think that's something that y'all should definitely consider, right? Y'all should definitely consider because at this point, the Cavs, other teams can give Guerschon more money than the Sixers can, right? And it's not that the Sixers cannot bring him back, but that's just the situation that the Sixers are in right now. But yeah, let me go ahead and get the rest of this out the way, and then I can finally bring this to an end because it's very, very hot out here, almost 100 degrees outside. So I hope y'all, if you're out, I hope you're fully hydrated and you got some sunscreen on because it's freaking hot outside. But let's play this hypothetical game, right? Let's say the Sixers are able to bring back a Guerschon Yabusele. Let's say they can bring him back. Now, what role does he play for the Sixers next season if he comes back? Well, I believe if he comes back for next year, because I think a European Instagram page posted that Guerschon Yabu could possibly leave in free agency, and he posted a comment under in disagreement with that post. So I think that's possibly him saying that he might want to return to the Sixers. I mean, who knows? But let's play this hypothetical. What if he comes back? What is his role going to be? I believe his role should be the same as it was from last season, right? Him coming off the bench and doing what he did best, right? Shooting threes, scoring. He has some good scoring productions as well, right? He has some games where he was scoring 25 plus. I think he had his big game against the Denver Nuggets, right? Going up against Jokic. Now, Jokic is not going to offer any rim protection whatsoever or any defense whatsoever, but so we always see some of these centers have good games against Jokic, so it's not that surprising, right? But if he's in that role, coming off the bench, I think you would get the most out of him because he's not going to play a lot of minutes, right? If he's wide open, he's definitely gonna take the shot. He's not scared to shoot the ball, right? He's not scared to shoot the ball. He's gonna take them shots. He's gonna give you some adequate scoring, right? Adequate production, right? He's gonna set some good screens. Now I know setting screens, people are not fun, of guys, doing the off ball actions and being in roles like that. But guys who can set effective screens can pretty much get your guards wide open and give them multiple options, coming off the screen, whether they want to go all the way to the basket, whether they want to kick it out to a shooter in the corner, or whether they want to get into any secondary action. Setting screens is very, very effective, right? Now, the Sixers are not one of the teams that set screens, but when he's out there on the floor, he is willing to set those screens and roll hard, right? Either he rolls hard to the basket or he pops out in order for looking for a pop opportunity. So if he's in that role, I believe that you can get the best out of him, right? Now, whether he's going to give you double digit scoring, I mean, I don't really know that, right? But if he's in the game, he's definitely going to give you very, very good production, right? Because that's the role that he's best in. If you play him as a backup, if you play him as a starting center, guess what? You're not going to get the best out of him, right? You're not going to get the best out of him, and that's just the reality, right? He's going to get destroyed on the glass if he goes up against some of these best centers, right? Because he's undersized. But if you have him coming off the bench, playing against other teams, backup bigs, you're going to get the best out of him because he's going to put pressure on the defense with him being a threat as a roll man, and then also him being a threat as somebody who can knock down wide open shots from the corner. Salute to 1984 Akeem. Appreciate you, bro. If you haven't subbed to the channel, make sure you subscribe and hit the like button. I wish we could have gotten more rebounds out of Yabusele, which, yeah, I absolutely agree with you. But, number one, the Sixers were a very, very terrible rebounding team. Now, I felt like having Drummond could a little bit solve that problem, but it still was a problem for the Sixers. Now, I think the Sixers, they don't really communicate defensively, and that's how we see a lot of these breakdowns on defense. And sometimes, some of these other teams, getting all these rebounds over the Sixers. But, for number one, like I said, Yabu's a very undersized big. So, him at 6'8", going up against some of the best rebounders in the game, right? He's not going to get a lot of rebounds because these guys are going to keep him off the glass, right? But sometimes, he does his best. But, sometimes doing your best is just it's just not good enough because you're going up against some of the best rebounders in the game. And I don't know if you remember the game against the Sacramento Kings where he got destroyed on the glass, right? And a few other games that I'm not currently remembering right now, but he was just getting destroyed on the glass because he's undersized. And that's the disadvantages of playing small ball. You get destroyed on the glass. We saw it. We saw it with the Lakers against the Timberwolves in Game 5, right? We saw it against them where Rudy Gobert looked like he looked like a carbon copy of Will Chamberlain. So yeah, but if you bring him off the bench, he will definitely get you rebounds, but it's not going to be something that you're going to have to worry about, right? But if he's starting, if you're playing small ball, he's definitely going to concede a lot of offensive rebounds to the other team, and it's just not his fault, right? Because he's undersized, and you're going up against some of these bigger forwards in the game. So yeah. Yeah. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Appreciate y'all. Akeem says, yeah, I thought that his hops and strength would make up for it, but it definitely didn't. Yeah, I mean, sometimes, yeah, that's that's true. I mean, you would think him being athletic, but I mean, does he have a large wingspan? I don't think he does, but sometimes, and I mean, Akeem, let's be real. The Sixers don't communicate on defense, right? They don't communicate on defense. They don't rebound by committee. They don't really box out anybody, right? Sometimes somebody might get a rebound and it might just fall just straight to them because nobody boxed them out. So sometimes that happens. So that's something that they definitely got to work on. They definitely got to work on it, right? Communication, and when the ball goes up, who is supposed to be and what spots on the floor. Because you rebound by this ain't the YMCA, bro. This is not the YMCA. So when the ball goes up, you have to put certain guys in certain positions, right? You got to put guys in certain positions or certain spots on the floor, and they're supposed to box out their man every single time. If you're not doing that, if you're not communicating, right? If you're not boxing nobody out, guess what? You will concede a lot of offensive rebounds to the other team. And that's something that, like I said, the Sixers definitely got to work on. Let me proceed. If y'all got any questions, y'all can, leave it in the comment section. I'm going to definitely get to it. But let's continue. If Quentin Grimes comes back to the Sixers, what is it going to look like? Right now, let's play that hypothetical. If Quentin Grimes does come back, I mean, I believe that for number one, his scoring production is going to definitely decrease from last year, right? He says Grimes would be my third option. I mean, he could be, right? He could be, but is he going to get the same amount of touches from last year? Is he going to be that involved in the offense from last year? I don't think so. Is he going to get the shots? I don't think so. But I mean, on any given night, I believe, yeah, he could be the third option, right? If his shots is falling, if he got it going, yeah, he could be the third. I mean, he could be the second option on certain nights, right? But how consistent is it going to be? I don't think it's going to be that consistent, right? It's not going to be very, very consistent. But he definitely has the capabilities. But yeah, if he's back on the team, what does it look like? Like I just said, he's not going to get the same amount of touches, right? And remember what George Niang told him. If Tyrese is here, you would be in the corner. If Joel Embiid is on the floor, you would be in the corner, right? So for the most part, that's what his role is going to be like. Now, yeah, he's going to have some secondary ball handling responsibilities. I mean, you don't want to see the ball in Maxey's hands, constantly, right? Sometimes you just got to switch it up and confuse the defense into thinking that the Sixers are about to do something different when in reality they might be running the same type of action, but just a different variation of it, right? But he can run some pick and rolls with Joel Embiid, right? He can initiate the offense, right? He can get into the rim. Now his ability to get to the basket is very, very important, right? He puts a lot of pressure on the defense, right? And guess what? It forces the defense to collapse. And when the defense is in situations like that, guess what? You have a ton of options. Whether you want to drop it into the dunker spot, whether you want to kick it out to an open shooter, or whether you want to drop it off to the roll man, that's only up to you, right? So it gives you the offensive team, it gives you a lot of options. But yeah, his scoring is not going to be the same as it was, right? I think he averaged 21 points, 22 points. After the All-Star break, that scoring production is just not going to be there. So guess what? His defense, the amount of defense that he plays is going to go up, and then the amount of offense the amount of shots that he was getting is going to go down because you're sharing the offensive load with Maxey. You know, Maxey's a capable 25, 26 point per game scorer. Paul George is a 18, 19, 20 point per game scorer. And if Joel Embiid is playing, you know, Joel Embiid is definitely, you know, he's definitely going to be a threat to getting, you know, 23, 24, 25 points per game. So yeah, his role offensively is gonna decrease, but his role defensively and his responsibilities defensively is gonna go significantly up. Tuning Sports says, how consistent is Paul George? Paul George from last year wasn't consistent at all, right? He had a stretch. I mean, let's be real. He had a stretch in November, December where, you know, he was a little bit consistent, but once Joel Embiid came back, I mean, it felt like every time Joel Embiid was in the game, he didn't really want to do much offensively, right? He was just, and whether that was the coach's decision, whether it was his decision, I mean, who knows? But every time Joel Embiid played, it seemed like he was just much more in the corner and not really doing much. So, I mean, yeah, if he's in the corner that much, I mean, he's not going to be that consistent. If he is not that involved, you know, he's not going to be consistent. Right. So yeah, he wasn't consistent. I don't think he was. Grimes is a better player than George Niang. That's Niang's role. I mean, yeah, I mean, absolutely. Better shot creator, better scorer. I mean, George Niang might be a better defender. I mean, not a better defender, better shooter. But offensively, yeah, Grimes is capable of doing more than George Niang. George Niang's only value offensively is to, you know, shoot threes, right? Spot up threes, not coming off screens, you know, situations like that, but just spotting up in the corner, or sometimes, you know, attacking closeouts and getting to the basket. That's primarily his role, George Niang. But Quentin Grimes could definitely, you know, initiate your offense. He can get in between the teeth of the defense. He can kick out, find open shooters in the corner. He can finish around the rim. He can shoot. He can create off the dribble. You know, a one dribble side step pull up. He can make shots like that. But you know, George Niang can't make shots like that. He says Grimes could possibly play a bigger role in the offense if we find a way to get rid of Paul George. But right now, he's going to be battling for shots with Jared McCain. Yeah, that's absolutely true. I mean, all my hypotheticals is with Paul George on the team because they just came out with a report that they have no intentions of trading Paul George. I don't know if you saw the report, but I saw the report, so that's what I'm going off of. Now, if they trade Paul George and they make Quentin Grimes the third option, he'll be the third option, and meaning he's gonna get way more shots than him being a fourth or maybe fifth option, right? And if you're the third option, I mean, guess what? You can average 17, 18, or 19 points per game. It's not difficult, right? It's not going to be difficult whatsoever. So, yeah. Salute to Brian Pumper in the chat. Appreciate you, bro. He says, I heard VJ was breaking for chicken in his workout. Yeah, that's the report that just came out. They said he was very, very nervous in his workout. You know, the on-court stuff was, you know, he was very, very nervous in that, but his interview process went good, had great personality or whatsoever. But yeah, I heard that's going to be terrible if, you know, that's not a great sign if he was very, very nervous in his workout, right? How could it possibly translate to the NBA, him being nervous when he gets on the court? Because when you get on the court, you're not going to be playing against college players. You're going to be playing against grown men, guys that are trying to make money to feed their families. You're not playing against college hoopers. So maybe that athleticism is not going to work in the NBA. It might translate, but it might not work every single time. So yeah, that's very, very interesting, but we'll see. I was about to say defender. Yeah, he's not a good defender. Hell no. But like I said, his only value offensively is to make spot up threes and, you know, maybe attack closeouts, and that's pretty much it. I mean, as a screen setter, I don't see the value there. As a ball handler, there's no value there, right? So Quentin Grimes absolutely does more. So yeah, I'm not even gonna entertain that argument. No, I'm not doing that, bro. VJ or Grimes? For the starting two guard, absolutely Grimes, because we have enough of a sample size from Quentin Grimes. We don't have no sample size from VJ whatsoever, and I'm not gonna go off of what he did in college to justify him getting starting two guard minutes in the NBA. I'm not doing that. Ace is way better. I mean, yeah, absolutely. Ace is way better than VJ. Yeah. Or no, I don't think anybody is making the argument for VJ being better than Ace. I mean, if you're making that argument, I mean, you can make the argument, but it's going to be a difficult argument to make. So, yeah. I heard y'all wanted to start Maxey, McCain, and VJ. I mean, who said that? A 3-guard lineup with 2 midgets? Man, that would be terrible. And then you got PG playing the 4. Yeah, the Sixers they're gonna get barbecued. Yeah, you're gonna get barbecued. I mean, McCain. I mean, let's be real. Why can't McCain play the same role that Peyton Pritchard was playing for the Celtics? Why can't he play the same role that Deuce McBride plays for the Knicks? Right. I think he would thrive in that role. Now, yeah, is he good to be a starter? Yes, but sometimes in certain situations, it's just better coming off the bench, and that's what I believe. I don't believe he's good to start. No, he's good coming off the bench, and that's the only role that I see him in. Right now, I mean, I'm not trying to disrespect him because there's been some great players that came off the bench: Lou Will, Manu Ginobili, Jamal Crawford. Like, why can't McCain be in that role? Dre, we got some casual fans. I'm not drafting the dude, Nick. Hey, Brian Poper, you funny, bro. You is a funny individual, but yeah, I mean, bro, I got the same issue. Like, I want to get Ace, but I mean, with Ace's with everything surrounding him, are you gonna risk drafting him? I mean, what if he doesn't want to play for the Sixers? What if he doesn't give it his all? I mean, that's the only issue that I have, and I don't want to draft a role player with the 3rd overall pick. I don't want to do it. Right. I want to draft somebody who. He said I'm still drafting him. You would still draft VJ Edgecombe? I mean, I thought at first you didn't want to draft him. I thought you were really Yeah, that's what I thought, bro. But yeah, I mean, Ace, hopefully, I mean, the draft is only in 2 days, and I think tomorrow we're going to get a lot of reports is going to come out, a lot of rumors definitely going to come out tomorrow, maybe even tonight. So, but I just hope that we get Ace. That's who I'm hoping for. I don't really want to draft VJ, right? He's going to be a good player. His player comps is to the Drew Holidays, the Derek Whites. That's fine. But for the 3rd overall pick, yeah, I'm not. Nah. Yeah. Absolutely, bro. Absolutely. Akeem says, I'll take Trey Johnson over Ace. That's my hot take. Yeah, that absolutely is a hot take. I don't know if too many people are going to agree with you, but he said Trey can't guard a parked car. Yeah, that is funny. That is funny. But let me just go over the points that I made, and I'm gonna just bring this to an end. The Sixers should prioritize Quentin Grimes, like I said, because for number one, you have his bird rights, and number two, it's going to be financially feasible to bring him back. But for Guerschon, Guerschon is a good player, good role player, right? But if you sign him, that means you're going over the second apron, And unless you believe that you got a team that can absolutely win the championship, then you can go over the second apron because you're getting a guaranteed championship. But if you're not gonna win, then there's no point to go over the second apron because there's a lot of restrictions that comes with it, right? Not able to sign players from the buyout market, losing your mid-level exception. It's a lot of complications that comes with it. So Quentin Grimes, is the absolute fit. And for number one, Quentin Grimes, is the perfect guard to put alongside of Tyrese Maxey because for number one, he can shoot, he can guard his position, right? He could be the secondary ball handler, initiate your offense for you, right? And could also get into some actions with Joel Embiid and or Paul George, right? So that's why you should bring him back. And Guerschon, for Guerschon, you can address losing Guerschon in free agency, right? There's going to be a lot of free agents on the market that the Sixers could potentially go after. I mean, Chris Boucher is a name that's out there. A few other names is out there as well that, these guys could come in and pretty much, fill in Guerschon's role. Now, I'm not saying that the Sixers should get rid of Guerschon. I mean, if you can bring him back without any restrictions, yeah, absolutely, go for it. But me personally, I'd rather prioritize Quentin Grimes. And, you don't have any choice because, for all the reasons that I mentioned, right? And, Chris Boucher, a player who played under Nick Nurse, knows the Nick Nurse's system. I mean, Nick Nurse is going to be our coach for the foreseeable future for next year. So I think Sixer fans are not happy with it, but you got to be happy with it, right? You ain't got no other choice, right? You don't have any other choice. So Chris Boucher is a name that's out there. Is another. It's few other forwards out there that the Sixers could go after in free agency, right? Now, I mean, one limitation out there, maybe these free agents might not want to play for the Sixers because the Sixers was a losing team last year. I mean, who wants to play for a losing team, right? That could be a restriction, but just still make a move, make a pitch to some of these guys. I mean, you never know. Maybe some of these guys might want to help the Sixers. So yeah, Chris Boucher is a name that just came to mind. There might be other free agents out there, but I mean, matter of fact, let me just just for the sake of arguments, let's just do this real quick, and we can take a look at the free agents that are going to be available for this offseason. So let me go to forwards. All right, and I'm gonna share my screen right here, and then we can talk about it. So, yep. All right, let's go. So Precious Achiuwa is going to be a name out there. I mean, I think Precious might return to the Knicks. I mean, why would he switch teams, right? He he probably has unfinished business with the Knicks for how they got embarrassed. So he might return to the Knicks next year. Who knows? But, Precious Achiuwa is a name that the Sixers could go after. I mean, Santi Aldama, right? Santi Aldama is another name. Now the Sixers, he was in trade rumors that the Sixers might get him, but the Sixers were not able to get him. So I mean, he's going to be a free agent, but he's going to be a restricted free agent. So it's going to be complications to getting him. But Delano Banton is another name, unrestricted free agent, right? Played for the Raptors, and he played for the Portland Trailblazers. So that could be a name that you could go after. Or the Sixers could potentially trade Andre Drummond and guess what? Bring back a former Sixer player and Charles Bassey, right? Charles Bassey was on the Sixers in 2021, 2022 season, but ended up getting moved. I think he got moved with Isaiah Joe, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, the Sixers could go after an unrestricted free agent and Charles Bassey and sign Guerschon Yabusele, and guess what? Lose Andre Drummond. Now, Imani Bates is a name. He's a restricted free agent. He's a Cleveland Cavalier, and I think the Cavs will definitely bring him back. Nico Batum, an unrestricted free agent. Nico is 36 years old. He has a lot of miles on his legs. 17 years in the league. I don't think he would want to sign with the Sixers anyway. So the Sixers might have to go in a different direction. Other forwards, like I said, Chris Boucher, 32 years old. He's still in his prime, right? 32 years old. He's in his. I mean, if he has a prime, right? So he's in his prime, and Tony Bradley, former Sixer. I don't think the Sixers will go after him, but Bruce Brown is also. I mean, Bruce Brown is a guard. I don't know why they got him over here as a forward, but he's a he's a guard, 6'3". John Collins is a name that the Sixers, could go after too, right? John Collins is out there. Other names, I mean, Jay Crowder is pretty old. The Sixers will definitely bring back. They will definitely bring back Justin Edwards, so he's not going anywhere. And Dorian Finney-Smith, who was a player who I did say that the Sixers should go after last season, right? Before they signed Caleb Martin, I was saying that they should trade for Dorian Finney-Smith, but you have an opportunity to get him for free. I mean, not get him for free, but get in without having to give up any assets. So Dorian Finney-Smith could be another name, right? It's a lot of forwards out here that could be options for the Sixers to go after. If you want a 40-year-old LeBron James, you can go after him. Right. But like I said, it's a lot of names out here. A lot of options for teams to go after, not just the Sixers. So, but I mean, I think the Sixers should definitely be in the mix to going after some of these guys. So, we'll definitely see. Tuning Sports says Larry Nance. Y'all got his brother over there in the G League. Make the reunion. Who's his brother? I don't know. Is it Pete Nance? Because I don't think he's still on the team, but I could be wrong. But Santi Aldama could be a good pick. Yeah, Santi Aldama will definitely be a good pickup in my opinion. Yeah, Santi Aldama. Yeah, he was rumored that he was a guy who the Sixers was being rumored that the Sixers might trade for by the All-Star break, but it never happened. But I mean, he's a restricted free agent, so it's going to be tough. These restricted free agents, unless their teams are not willing to match, the offer sheets, you're not getting those. If they match the offer sheets, you're not getting the player. So, it's always tricky. Charles Bassey, then Doc Rivers push him out the road. Yeah, he did. Doc Rivers did. I mean, Doc Rivers doesn't play young guys, so yeah, we're not we're not surprised, right? We're not surprised. He says develop Justin Edwards. I mean, absolutely. I mean, I'm really high on Justin Edwards, right? I'm really high on him. To me, I think he comes off the bench, and coming off the bench, being that two-way 3-and-D wing, I think he will definitely flourish in that role, right? I don't think he should be a starter. I mean, he did start, right? He started for the team, and he played pretty good, right? I mean, he earned a standard contract, but I think he should come off the bench, in my opinion. So, but yeah, I'm with the idea to develop Justin Edwards. Pete Nance, yeah, he, like I said, I don't think he's still on the team, but if he's still on, I mean, yeah, bring Larry Nance to the team and make the reunion. Nah, bro. But yeah, it is what it is at that point. But yeah, I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Appreciate y'all. I had to get this out the way. Guerschon is likely out the door, but who knows? Maybe Daryl Morey got some tricks up his sleeves where he might finesse and still get Guerschon to re-sign for the team. I mean, who knows? But yeah, Guerschon possibly or likely out, and Grimes will possibly be the starting two guard for the team next season. So yeah, we'll have to see. Send Paul George to Utah. Paul George will never play for the Utah Jazz. So it's kind of like Westbrook. Westbrook will never play for the Jazz. Daryl Morey's a liar. Don't believe him. Yeah, I mean it's a business. It's a business at the end of the day. So if I got the options, as a general manager or as a president of basketball operations to make my team better, guess what? That's what I'm gonna go with. So yeah, he is a liar, but at the end of the day, he's trying to trying to do his job. So, but yeah, I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Appreciate y'all. I might do another stream tomorrow. Um, for the draft, like focusing on the draft, the Ace Baileys, the VJ Edgecombes, the final stream, right? That's the final stream before the draft. So we'll definitely talk about it. Who should the Sixers go for? Could there possibly be a trade on draft night where the Sixers trade up or trade down or maybe give up a few assets to get a player? Because we've seen, yeah, it's 2 more days, right? It's 2 more days because we've seen teams, draft players and trade them on draft night. I mean, shit, the Sixers traded Mikal Bridges on draft night. So, could this be a similar situation where the Sixers trade a player, trade some assets for a very good player, experienced player, veteran player? Um, that's yet to be seen. But yeah, once again, appreciate y'all for tuning in. If you haven't subbed to the channel, DFJ Hoops, please make sure you subscribe to the channel. Hit the like button if you haven't already. And also check out my guy, TuneIn Sports. Y'all can check out his channel. Cleveland Cavaliers content creator. Knows his stuff through and through. Y'all can definitely go check him out. And yeah. And check out Big Fan Breezy channel as well. Right? Brooklyn Nets content creator. But appreciate y'all for tuning in. Catch you guys on the next one. Peace.